So I'm just going to give a brief overview of what I thought of the Kavanaugh hearings today, and I saw both parts. I was working, but I had it on the background of the TV, and I watched the whole day from 10 o'clock to 6:45, and everything in between. And so my thought is on Dr. Ford, the accuser. She sounds believable. I believe that she believes that Kavanaugh did this. And watching Kavanaugh, where at the beginning I thought it came out whiny at the beginning and wasn't very strong by the end, and specifically when I get to talk about Lindsey Graham, I think he is also believable. So how can you believe both, right? Part of it is because memory changes after 36 years, and that's just not me being full of it. Just think about something. If something happened a year ago, and you have this really in your mind clear vision, but then you get outside information that comes in, and you start remembering things that weren't exactly there. That's why all the times, uh, you go to a show that's 5 years ago, and you swear you remember the order of the show, and really it's because you're remembering the album order, and well, maybe they put it in that same order, but maybe they didn't. And after 36 years, things are going to change in your own mind. You're going to add stuff, you're going to delete stuff. That's one reason why in uh, what was the exact wording? Um, uh, Under penalty of perjury, you had some of the remarks being from other alleged witnesses who said either it didn't happen or they don't remember it this way, or and that starts to come up. And after 36 years, a lot of things change. A lot of things that you think originally happened aren't really there. But how does this play out politically? Well, if you were inclined to support Kavanaugh before, you're still going to be inclined to support Kavanaugh. And if you were going to oppose Kavanaugh before, you're still going to oppose Kavanaugh. But if you had somebody who was an open mind, or you were sort of leaning one way or leaning the other, and you saw Lindsey Graham's portion during the Kavanaugh um, interview at the end. And for people who didn't watch it, Dr. Ford was questioned by, and they whipped back and forth, and it was this weird thing where like it seemed like you were watching two different TV shows, like you were watching SVU when the Republicans were questioning, because we had a prosecutor from Arizona, and then the Democrats would ask individual questions, and some were on point, and some were kind of like, okay, this is normal committee stuff, like kind of weirdness. When they got to Kavanaugh, it started like that, and then where the prosecutor from Arizona would question, and then the Democrats would go back and forth, and then it got to Lindsey Graham, and Lindsey Graham, they stopped it for Lindsey Graham, and Lindsey Graham started to ask questions, and it was pure raw emotion, just like powerful OS moment. I was working, and I said, I'm taking a break. I'm watching this thing, and I'm intentionally watching this thing. And he got into the other two accusers, the one who claiming for serial rapist and basically brought in Bill Cosby, which did not think I would get a Bill Cosby reference. And if you had that on your bingo card of drinking, you probably got drunk. But it was, you're not a serial rapist for 1 or 2 years in high school and take a break. I've learned that you do it for the rest of your life, something of that regard. It was pretty powerful. Now, if the press and if people in the basically it was like 6 or 7 senators that I think are open to going one way or the other. If those people in those states that they live, if they're getting inundated with calls that basically resonate with the impassioned speech that Senator Graham brought in, that they should vote for Kavanaugh, then I think they get Kavanaugh through. I think Jeff Flake, who is on the committee, it's going to be very interesting how he votes tomorrow if they have a vote. If they don't have a vote tomorrow, it's because Jeff Flake is a no. I don't think the nomination gets pulled at this point. And I said beforehand that I thought this nomination should have been pulled. And if I was president, I would have pulled this nomination. But I'm not. But I think if they get inundated with calls from people who take the Lindsey Graham portion or something similar and get those senators on board, they'll get it on board. And I think it's about 4 senators, Corker, Jeff Flake, who's running for president, Murkowski, and Snow, or Collins. Sorry, I'm brain farting Maine right now. Collins. If I think depending on how they vote, if 2 of them vote early when they do the up or down, then all 4 of them are going to go down. They're just going to kill it. I still think there's time to get Amy Coney Barrett on the court, or at least have the hearing, and we'll see. But it was pretty fascinating. And if you didn't catch it, what I would do if I was going to watch it now, for Dr. Ford, I would fast forward through pretty much all of the Democratic questioning, only because, and this is not just me being a partisan, I would fast forward it because it's not very useful. It's a lot of grandstanding. And just do the prosecutor for the Republican. When you get to Kavanaugh, and do the back and forth between the chair and Dianne Feinstein, who's the ranking member. Those 2 are important to watch, okay? Because Feinstein, I think she does take it on the chin. When you get to Kavanaugh's part, if you're going to watch it from home, only for the contrast, watch the whole thing until you get to Graham. After Graham, pay attention pretty much just to the Democratic part. Fast forward to the Republican until you get to the last senator. And when you get to Ted Cruz, once there's an interjection from the chair, there's a weird part of it, then maybe push play. But other than that, you would fast forward it through it. The questioning after Graham by the Republicans, and they don't go back to the prosecutor, isn't that great till the very end, and some of the interjection between Feinstein and them. But that's what I would see if you want entertaining and see where you want to stand, if you want to watch it. And again, the whole thing is 8.5 hours. Well, that included breaks and that included lunch and stuff like that. So probably it's like 4 hours of video if you're watching on if you got it taped. But that's how I would view it. Alrighty, that was a little bit long, but those are my thoughts. And like and subscribe below if you're interested.